We're replacing the chain, and I gotta say, just replacing these cheap chain rings and replacing your chain when it gets to 0.5 on the scale there, right there, that's the one. Once you get past that, you're going to start wearing these guys out. And so what's causing that wear on your chain is not actually stretch, even though a lot of people call it chain stretch. What it is, in fact, is dirt gets inside these little rollers in here that you can see, and in there it's spinning around, acting as a grinding paste, and it wears the diameters so that these rollers can shift more on their pins, and that allows for more slop, and that allows over the length of the chain for enough cumulative slop that it is longer. It starts out at 1 inch per link and it stretches from there, and then that lengthening will allow for external dirt to grind on your cassette and your chain ring and give you that wallowing out that can't be reversed, and would mean that you'd have to replace your cassette and your chain ring if you let it go too far. The teeth shape on the cassettes are not as deep, and they're actually a little bit wider anyway, so you've got a little more room if you check your chain wear, check your chain stretch, as some people like to call it, and stay on top of it. So you see here, there's not, let's see if it'll focus, too much anodization worn off there on those teeth. And so that leads me to believe that we'll be okay replacing this chain still. And then they have so much shaping, especially on these smaller gears, that it's less significant if there's a little bit of wear. Of course, if there's a lot of wear, those teeth will get ground down into those little teeny pins that you see sometimes on really worn out drivetrains. So you can see the difference here. This is the new chain, and this is the old chain, lined up evenly from the end over there. This one is shorter over that length. All that wear accumulates and makes that difference. And so I'm going to cut it right here. These new chains come with all sorts of hieroglyphics. Bull crap. And if you're looky there, they even have rules for the quick links, which is confusing because what if you're building your bike from the non-drive side? But I guess it's a Japanese standard. You got to build your bike from the drive side. Shimano probably patented that, actually. They couldn't invent the quick link, but they could invent putting an arrow on a quick link. Sorry, Shimano. Anyway, got the words pointing out now. Very cool. We're ready to go. Alright, last thing here. You'll see there's already a pine needle stuck to the chain, and these new chains have this goo on them. These ones aren't as bad as ones I've seen. Like the SRAM ones have the nastiest, stickiest stuff, and usually I degrease those before I even put them on. This I think I'm going to degrease out when I wash my bike, but yeah, I always try to get that goo off. Some people say don't do it, but it attracts so much dirt that is just getting in there and grinding everything right away, wearing out your chain quicker. And so I use degreaser, and then in the winter I've come to like this this here Whistler wet chain lube stuff. I use their dry lube too, bio-based, I guess. It's kind of cool, made up north. Seems to keep the chain clean, and that's what I like the most, is to be able to wash the dirt off. When you're attracting dirt with your chain lube, it's just going to wear your chain out. You know, you just want enough lube that it's not dry and squeaky in the summer, but you don't really need that much more than that. And then you just want enough lube that doesn't get all washed away in the winter, so that when it does dry, you just are left with this fine powder that kind of polishes and attacks your chain, or enough lube that repels the mud maybe, but there's not a lot you can do in that really thick mud. But anyway, gonna clean this guy off. And what's that thing down there? Got a bit of rubber for the chain. Speaking of chains, what's that? Nice and quiet. We'll talk about that in the next video. Chain slap. Stay tuned.